All right. Okay, good evening to everyone. Welcome to this our presentation. We are going to talk about international declarations. Okay, let's do it. So my name is Andres Velasquez.
My name is Arjun Shah.
I'm Isatu.
I'm Riwan Policia.
Yes, and we have been working during this whole semester trying to figure out how to solve one of the most annoying pains that people that are working for business are facing nowadays. So here, please. So who from here has ever traveled for business in your life? Show of hands. Okay. So like really good amount. And when we travel for business, there's this thing that we need to do after we travel for business is like file all the expenses that we did during this travel, right? So we need to keep all these receipts, like having like a pretty like a nice folder with all these receipts, like pretty safe and tight, and then type all of this into a software and then submit this and wait for the reimbursement. And then finance is like bidding on us, like because we are missing perhaps a receipt or one receipt is vanishing, so they don't get the info. So it's quite a pain, and it's a pain also for the businesses, not only because they're wasting time like behind the employees trying to file them, because also this is expenses from the company, and if they don't file properly these expenses, they don't get like the tax deductions from those expenses, right? So it is a big problem for us. So from the help of Celonis, we dig deep in the data of a company that map all of this process. And this is how this process is looking for a company that is expanding into the US, and it's looking messy and complex, and all the entropy that we are seeing this is what companies are really facing on a day-to-day. It's not as streamlined as we think, that finance asks for a report and then we submit it and then they reimburse. That's the good idea, but this is how actually the process looks like. Like a lot of reprocess, a lot of back and forth, a lot of emails coming and going, trying to explain some cents that are missing from a bill and this and that. So after digging deep into all this data, we found out that this issue has big 4 chapters of problems. The first one is about permits and budgeting. There is too many days for an approval to get, and even when it's done, perhaps the trip has already passed. The trip itself has too many dependencies to start this trip, and the approvals are just crazy. The declaration itself took a lot of time to do. That becomes like a lot of late submissions. Like around, for this specific company, we are talking about 71% of late submissions of all the declarations. And the last part is the payment. The reimbursement process also takes quite a long time. So thinking about this is like a problem that all companies across the States and also across the world has. We come up with a solution.
So our solution is called Declaro. What it does and who it is for, I'm just going to explain you, I'll give you a very quick walkthrough of that. Our product is mainly for the finance teams, traveling employees, and their managers. Why did we come up with this problem? The main problem, first we need to address the problem, and the problem is these people, these employees struggle with inconsistent post-trip reporting, excessive approvals, and limited financial visibility into the travel declarations and into the numbers. So what is our solution? It is an automated travel and expense platform that streamlines declarations, accelerates reimbursements, and improves compliance through real-time insights powered by AI. We'll give you a walkthrough of the prototype later, but this is what our product molecule or our solution is.
And I'll now talk through how big the market is. When it comes to travel expense management, the total addressable market right now in 2025 is around 4.1 billion, but that's expected to grow by 2032. It's expected to be at 9.4 billion, 9.8 billion. And from that total addressable market, the serviceable addressable market is at 2 billion. And the way we got to that number is the TAM is looking at the entire market, and this TAM, given that our focus is around mid-sized companies, so we took around 50% of that 4.1 billion, which is around 2 billion, And then from there, the serviceable obtainable market is at 50 million. We took about 2.5% of that 2 billion, which gave us the 50 million, which shows that there is opportunity for us to tap in. And some of the growth drivers for that is like people are going back to office, going back to traveling, especially in like consulting industry. So we believe that there's a huge market for growth in this area.
Nice. So we'll just take a quick snapshot into like the competitive landscape that Declaro's existing in. First, we start with corporate card platforms that take up the fintech space. So that presents solutions like Brex and Ramp, where yes, they have strengths when it comes to real-time capture, policy enforcement, and payment automation, but are more weak when it comes to post-trip support, especially when it comes to multicultural and then multi-policy cases. Next, we kind of identify traditional financial institutions like American Express or Chase, where again, biggest strengths for them are trusted brands, their global reach and a strong card program, but their weaknesses really start to show when it's limited beyond payments, relying on third parties, and manual input when it comes to expenses and compliance workflows. Next, we kind of move towards expense management softwares, where the two big competitors are SAP Concur and then Expensify. Again, some strengths: they offer broad travel and expense management, which is great, but again, rely on manual entry, receipts, uploads, causing a lot of delays throughout the process. And then lastly, we kind of cover niche AI compliance tools, where we have AppZen and Oversight, where they provide advanced AI-driven spend audits, but again, primarily operate as add-ons as opposed to like their own standalone end-to-end feature or solution.
And now I will talk through the pricing model. So the way we set up our pricing model is for like enterprises. We have like a setup fee, which is like 5,000 is a one-time payment, and then the subscription model that would allow us for the recurring revenue is per $20 per active user. And we chose this model because to avoid churn on the long run, we don't want like to sign contracts and then these companies are just paying us, but they don't have like enough people traveling. So we chose this model, like you only pay for the travelers within your company. So that would, especially for CFOs who had to spend unnecessary money, that would allow us like to continue driving that retention. And then we also offer like a 3-month pilot program. We believe like through our strong solution, once we set up the pilot for companies, we are able to convert that. And then our average contract value is around $25K, and that also incorporate like that 5,000 one-time setup fee. Yeah. And then we also did like 5 years projection just to show like the growth and how we believe we can succeed in this industry. And then early adopters, we believe that because our solution is comprehensive, we are able to get at least 30 clients. And then the first year, the 30 multiplied by the average, the ACV, give us that 750K. And then as the years go by, as we include more features, we continue to attract more clients. And then our revenue increased by 5 years. We'll be hitting like $8 million. And then why should investors consider investing in our project right now? We asking investors to consider putting 1.5 in exchange of 20% equity, and then that give us like that 7.5 valuation, which is based on like 12x EBITDA, and then also like by 5 years, which aligns with our 5-year projection, their shares will be around 16 million, and then this is based on like validated assumption through how we calculated our lifetime customer acquisition, and then also how the recurring revenue works. And then again, the timing is perfect. The industry is projected to grow, and then we believe that our solution is extensive to attract customers.
Awesome. So just quickly diving into the go-to-market strategy, it's basically based on a two-phase land and expand model, where first we'll be piloting and landing, like Isa2 had kind of mentioned in the previous slide, in companies in North America. We'll start expanding as we gain more workflows and features into Europe and North America, and just making sure that the key main themes that we're pushing is that Declaro really is the new AI co-pilot for when it comes to finance teams, bringing compliance, confidence, and operational ROI. And these are just some success metrics that we'll be looking for throughout our pilot programs.
All right. So this is not going to be built in a day. This is going to take some time. So for the rest of the 2025, we're going to focus on building our prototype and start launching with the first of our clients. We believe that we can launch really good prototypes like with vibe coding, based with vibe coding, and help with all the new tools that are out there right now. We can start getting traction with those customers and start testing like growth campaigns and growth methodologies. So for 2026, we need to start raising the money that Institute was mentioning as a seed series to start hiring the first members of our team and start building the native product that can handle like way larger traffic, and start expanding on those tested campaigns that we will be testing during 2025. During 2027, we'll be needed to raise another round. That will be like our Series A. We are expecting for that to be around $10 million on our larger valuation, around $80 million for getting around 1,000 paid users. And for 2028, that's kind of far to be able to forecast from now. But if you guys are interested, we can continue the conversation afterwards. So, we are about to show you the prototype, but this was not built like this week or just on the last 2 weeks. This has been a process. This has been a trusted like methodology that we have been pushing small iterations like from week to week go. So we want just to give like a small shout out to all the process that we did during these 12 weeks, doing all the frameworks and all the things that allow us to come up with these features, with this pricing, with this setup for the product. So just a little show of all the things that we built, our user personas, our customer journeys, to be able to identify what were like the actual needs of the market. Okay.
Yeah. Now we're going to show you the prototype introducing Declaro. Let's dive right into it in the interest of time. I'll just click on Start Free Trial. Yeah. This is our landing page. Our objective, our mission is clear: to make travel expenses automated. These are our key outcomes. But before that, I just want to capture the key features. Like we have AI receipt capture, voice commands, instant reimbursement, and basically zero paperwork. All compliant, all with heavy compliance integrated. Snap, submit, done. That's our logo. That's our motive, and that's what we've built the entire app around. You don't have to go through all of this in detail, but we also have testimonials over here. But let's get on the free trial demo. So these are the 3 modes that we're offering, or the 3 main personas we're catering to. First would be the employee, the manager, and the finance team. As an employee, what are you looking for? To integrate or to record your travel expenses, or to submit expenses, even if it's for meals or entertainment. So, for example, if you click here, create new expense, you can upload a file, you can upload a receipt. Even if the receipt is not very clear, as you would see right now, our AI would basically log. It will still capture what this receipt is about. And if you feel like something needs to be corrected, you can simply type right in and you can correct it, and then click on submit at the bottom. This is how you can record expenses. We also have the trip details. For example, if you're flying, if you want your manager to approve it, you can submit the trip details from here. And the history, the complete visibility, end-to-end visibility of whether your payments have been reimbursed, whether your expenses have been approved, denied, or if they're in progress. So we can now switch over to the manager mode. The manager does not have to use this app too frequently. He or she only has to use this app when there is something that is not very compliant, like an employee has submitted expense that our AI-backed policy or rule engine feeds is not compliant. So it goes to the manager. From here, the manager can either approve or reject the claim, or directly talk to the employee, like, why did you submit this expense? What was the need for it? You can even look at the budget health, how much the team has spent this quarter based on the budget. And that's all what the manager does. And now quickly moving on to the finance team. This is where our killer feature comes in. Like you can basically process already or approved payments right at the click of a button. In the future, we also envision as the AI becomes smarter, we would know when we need to even click this button. This is just like some KPIs on average processing time, monthly processing numbers. You can go into the declarations tab. Now we have 4 key features or 4 key. Okay. Yeah, 4 key features here. We have insights, what teams are overshooting the budget, what teams are not overshooting the budget, analytics into the employees who are not being compliant. You can directly train these employees or fire them if they're not being compliant for a long time. And that's our last slide on quick summary on what our app is about, what Declaro is about, the what. It's basically an automatic travel expense declaration. How do we do it? Like we said, who is paying? Our target audience would be the mid-sized companies in the US. How we plan to scale? When do we plan to become profitable? And what our ask is. I think this slide is sort of self-explanatory, but please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Judges. Is there any feedback or questions that you'd like to ask first?
Let's start with maybe. So my first question was regarding the market size. So you were saying it's estimated at around 4 billion, right? So, and then you reached that you will be assuming a 2.5%, but it was based on what? And the 4 billion is also based on what? So are you looking towards companies that are adopting this model or what exactly?
Yeah, so the 4 billion is based on companies specifically within the travel expense management categories that do like this software for that reason. And then the 2 billion comes from, we were like, okay, that's the whole market in that segment. But as we are only looking at a specific segment within that, which is mid-size companies within the US, we, based on research and industry benchmark, we took the 50% out of that. And then how we got to the 50 million is basically, usually for SaaS companies, the benchmark is like within 1 to 5%. So we just took 2.5 and multiplied that by the 2 billion to get to that 50.
I was curious about the ideal customer profile. I saw on the first slide that it said this is made for finance teams. In your mind, like who's like the perfect customer for this?
So the perfect customer as the type of company that will be paying for this, or the perfect user that will be benefit from
No,
this?
you're the one who actually has to pay you. So
Okay.
Presuming that's like this B2B business, it's going to be some kind of corporate entity. So
Yes, so we believe the ICP for this, the ideal customer profile for this, is going to be like mid-sized companies, like around 500 employees that are expanding. So they have like a large team, start like traveling around, expanding into new territories. So because those companies are having like a lot of international declarations coming in that needs to be managed, needs to be managed. And then the finance teams from those companies are going to be overloaded with all this incoming traffic of declarations. So for us, like mid-sized companies that are around 500 employees that do not have like an already sophisticated solution already implemented, that's our ideal customer.
You cover bits and pieces on SWOT, but is there like a real theory behind SWOT as far as opportunities, threats? I feel like some of that was missing from your pitch. I saw some strengths, right? And maybe little weaknesses from the competitors, but
Yeah.
I didn't see any threats or opportunities.
We've captured the gaps over here. So all of these companies are serving a particular niche, like Ramp is serving the credit card thing. Navan is not mentioned here, but it's serving the corporate travel, like just one particular bit in aspect of the entire process. We're catering to the travel expense management as well as the other expenses that are client related, and the finance team, how they process those declarations as well. So we try to capture all the potential competitors, but as a whole, like what we're serving, there's no one competitor that that does all of what we are trying to do.
If I can build into that, and perhaps if this goes more targeted to your question, like the threats to our proposal can be like, for example, from incumbent companies that they realize that there is like they have these gaps, and they can react, and they have like deep pockets to react faster. And since they already have a relationship with the customers, like for example, if you are already working with SAP, for example, with SAP, then it will be easier for them just to launch a model, and then you already have the relationship with SAP, so it's going to be easier for them to onboard you on a new model. So that's one of the big threats for us. So we need to be fast to the market to be able to disrupt them.
Very good, thank you.
Sarah?
A couple notes and maybe just a question too. Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, great. A couple notes of just what I thought was done pretty well. So right off the bat, the initial breakdown of the issues at hand. So the 4 different groups that you had, so permits budget, the trip itself, the declarations portion, and the reimbursement of the payment. So being able to break it down that way, I thought was a very good structure. Also noting that you had the growth drivers on one of your slides at the beginning as well. With the notes of the market opportunities was good. So the increased demand for compliance automation, I thought that was very realistic and a good note to make. As well as the competition breakdown. So some of the strengths and weaknesses here was pretty thorough. And then my questions or just otherwise suggestions are fairly similar to what has already been expressed here, but just who would your ideal client be? Specific markets, which I know here at the end you said maybe a mid-sized company based in the US, but just really honing in on who your specific market would be or size of the company. And if you have just a general and mid-sized company, maybe you could also even just suggest an employee minimum. So is this good for at least 500 employees, 1,000 employees, whatever that number is, could also just be helpful there. And then the last thing to just consider as well would be as your customer base grows. So I know that you have that projected breakdown of wanting, I think it was maybe 1,000 paid clients by the end of the first year. Just to keep in mind, as your customer base grows, your own company will grow with it and need more employees, and just to also factor that into either your payment model or just the structure of how you're expensing this type of growth. But otherwise, very good job.
Thank you.